So, good morning. I thought I'd have to go live this morning after the announcements yesterday evening that there is going to be 1.4 billion pounds cut out of our pensions going forward. So, if you haven't heard the news, basically Rachel Reeves announced yesterday in Parliament that due to a large black hole in the economy, then the pensions allowance for winter fuel is going to be cut. Now, if you do receive pension credit, which means that you are basically earning less than the basic pension, which is around £12,500 now, then you will still be eligible. But the vast majority of pensioners earn either 12,500, which is the state pension, or they may have some additional pensions to top that up, and the pension there, the winter allowance there, will be withdrawn. So £1.4 billion is a huge amount of money. It's not the kind of black hole we could have filled by, tweaking a few MPs' pay or ex-prime ministers' pensions. But it is a tough place for us to be looking at recovering some of the missing funds. Now, I know, given the comments I've had on previous videos, that there'll be some younger people who'll watch this. I mean, I'm only a small channel, so it's unlikely anyone's going to tune in live to this. But there will be some younger people who say, well, actually, you baby boomers and you Gen Xers have had it all. And that, the best place to fill the black hole from would be from our age groups, really. Now, I've got two young adults, both in their early 20s, so I kind of have an insight into how difficult it is for that generation coming out of school and out of university now. Is difficult, and the housing in particular is very difficult for people nowadays because of the increases in house pricing. Though I would say, when I left school in 1985, I think unemployment was about 1 in 10. And actually, if we'd had the minimum wage, the equivalent of £12-ish now back then, that'd have been a dream for us, really, because we didn't really have a minimum wage set around that amount. So you really were struggling with your first jobs. That the pay really was very low. I remember my first pay slip was when my annualized pay was £3,500 a year when I started working in local government back in 1986, 1987. So the wages were lower on average than they are now, and that was difficult for us. And unemployment was really high. And then as we got into the later 80s, we were talking 10-15% inflation all the time, really. So it's difficult, really, to draw equivalence between the younger generation who are leaving now and the generation who are moving into retirement, because we both have our struggles. Both age groups have our struggles, or had our struggles. But I just feel now that filling the £1.4 billion black hole by taking away the winter fuel allowance is not going to be popular. Thinking about pensioners being cold during the winter, I just can't imagine this being a popular decision, really. I do understand that we do have quite a lot of very wealthy pensioners, and if you're, let's take an extreme, if you're a pensioner that's receiving an income of £100,000 a year, should you be getting the winter fuel allowance as you would now? And there is an argument for that, but actually, if you're on just a basic pension of £12,500 per annum, what we're talking, £216 a week, something like that. And your winter fuel allowance is taken away. How are you going to heat your home? I just don't understand. I mean, I'm fortunate in that I do have private pensions, and I do have some money saved up in a direct contribution because, you know, I'm fortunate to have had reasonably good jobs during my whole life. However, not everyone's in that position. And if you find yourself on £12,500 full state pension with no other income, it's going to be really difficult to turn that heating on during the winter. I know there's a lot of these, you know, community centres being set up, warm places, that kind of thing, but people should be able to have the dignity to be able to sit in their own home, and at night when them places are closed, be able to at least warm their house to a point where it's not dangerous for their health. I find this decision yesterday really, really difficult. It's easy to come on here, though, isn't it, and say that this is a really unpopular decision and the wrong decision. But we do have a big black hole to fill. I really struggle for ideas on where that hole should come from. And as I said earlier, we can look at the principles of, you know, ex-prime ministers' pensions being tax-free, and, you know, it's bringing in thousands of pounds. We need to bring in billions of pounds to fill the black hole. Where should it come from? I would love a reasoned argument in the comments if anyone's got any thoughts. I genuinely would like to know how we fill this black hole, because pensioners' heating allowance it feels like the wrong decision to me. It really does feel like the wrong decision. So if anyone's got any views out there on where this black hole should be filled from, I would love to hear from you and potentially debate as well, you know, if people think that there are other sources of income. So I hope this is not too frightening news for everyone out there about the winter fuel allowance. As I say, if you are earning less than 12,500, you will still get the winter fuel allowance, but that's quite a small number compared to the amount of people who are just on basic retirement. And at that point, you won't be receiving it, from what I understand from reading the news articles this morning. But anyway, thanks for listening. And if you do have any ideas, please throw it in the comments. And if you don't yet subscribe to the channel, it'd be great if you could, because the more people, particularly that like the videos as well, the wider this message gets spread and the more of a community we can build. So thanks for listening, everyone.